Entertainment Video. My name is Wood. Checking in today on the Game 5. And we know Game 5s are crucial to the outcome of most series. But here going into this Game 5 with the Warriors getting the victory. I just thought it was a phenomenal game, and I think for those of us that care, uh, I felt it had to go 6 or 7 for us to get a great series, and an enjoyable and a truly enjoyable series. And then the backdrop or the overarching storyline here was Steph Curry and an MVP. So that's why that's why this series has been so compelling to me, and I'm glad that it wasn't a 4-1, a gentleman's sweep, or a 6-game series. It has the possibility to be a 6-game series. We'll get into that in just a minute. I did want to start with Washington Commanders coach Jack Del Rio. Um, and him being fined. I think in the last week he was fined $100,000 for his comments about, and I don't really agree with that. He called the January 6th events, he called it a dust up, and from what I just read in the ESPN article a couple minutes ago, because he called it a dust up, because he characterized that as a dust up, is the main reason why they fined him, and then that it doing so hurt the team culture. And I don't know if that's right, but I guess if Jack Del Rio doesn't say, well, either give me my money or either fire me, I guess he made a compromise, or maybe even accepted some punishment against his own values and whatnot. And that happens. That happens sometimes. I wanted to talk. I did a talk on this platform yesterday, I think, or in the last 2 days, to give my full take on Del Rio, his point of view. I mentioned out last week that Ryan Clark, I thought on First Take, I thought Ryan Clark did an excellent job in speaking about this issue, and I know it's not popular, and people can call it woke ESPN or whatever variation of the name, but it's all woke reporting and whatever. But I thought Ryan Clark, I thought his comments on it and his thoughts on it were well stated. All I'm really going to say here is that, again, I don't necessarily agree with the $100,000 fine, but I think it's a good thing, because the article that's out there on ESPN today is where Coach Rivera, Ron Rivera, head coach, is saying that Jack Del Rio's apology to the team was well received, and I think it should be well received. In addition to an apology, in the article it said that Ron Rivera said that meetings, a sit down with the players occurred. The players that wanted to talk with Jack Del Rio about what he said, that took place. And Jack Del Rio even came back and said, well, hey, maybe I was wrong in the way that I viewed a couple of things, but he did stick to his guns about he's not for riots. He doesn't condone civil upheaval in communities and whatnot, and I can respect that. But the thing is this: I think it's a good situation when anybody is in a workplace, and if there is a disagreement, if there are conflicting views on something, that the people that need to say what the people that need to get something off their chest, that they're able to do that. A lot of us work in situations where you got to walk around on eggshells. And maybe you have to hear some remarks. Maybe you have to hear some statements. Maybe you have to overlook some stuff. Maybe you have to bite your tongue for whatever reason. And I just think right now, regardless of what party you belong to, support, or, affiliate with, regardless of what party you rock with, I'm not going to overlook how I vote and who I like. I'm not going to overlook laws being broken and crimes being committed and bullshit going on. And if you've been paying attention a little bit, a lot of unacceptable shit took place that fed into January 26th, and the former president and his people, they had a chance to run their election. I mean, run their candidacy to be reelected. They dropped the ball in a ton of areas, and then they went out and set a lot of shit in motion that was based on nothing. And it's not Democrats saying that it was nothing. It's not Schumer and Pelosi and Maddow and Hayes and Reed. It's not all of these people saying that this was a lie and the quote unquote big lie. These are people who the former president put in position, appointed to positions, and when him and his inner circle took this stuff to these people who are supposed to enforce laws in this country, those people, one by one, all said, just like Bill Barr summarized it, all of this was bullshit. And here it is, over a year later, people are still running around with these crazy ass beliefs. We can say the same thing about what's going on with the trans community, and now you got the call. Some people don't like the fact or are very upset about the fact that I just saw yesterday with Dwayne Wade. He said something about, it was a quote that he said, "This is what I go through on a daily basis, and you don't know, you got to walk in my shoes and understand what my daughter sees." And some people commented, "You don't have a daughter, bro. You have a son." And that's asking us to join along in viewing this human being who we all knew as this young boy and has now transitioned to be, I can't remember what the name is, but everybody just isn't just sitting here on board with that. And the same thing with these with looking at everything that led up to January 6th. A lot of lies and a lot of bullshit was put out there that and people went and acted on that stuff. Like my man in The Wire said, like, people went to war over these lies. They went to war on that lie. They broke laws on that lie. They committed treason or treasonous acts and whatnot on these lies. And unfortunately, this is serious shit. Because how does any of this stuff get put in check? How the next election, do the stakes get raised, and now people don't come in there with cell phones and flags, and they don't steal shields from the police. Maybe they just show up just armed from the beginning. And people don't even like I said, people aren't even out here with valid claims or that you've truly been wrong. So I just think this whole shit was reckless. And again, I don't necessarily agree that Jack Del Rio should have been fined $100,000 for his views. But I think if I'm in an organization such as a professional football team, and that's who my position coach is, and I got to work with that man several days a week. And in a sense, we got to go to war with one another every Sunday. Me and you gonna sit down and straighten some shit out. And I'm not saying that when we get done, you're gonna agree with me and see things my way, but we gonna talk about it. When you try to discipline me, and when you try to yell at me, when you try to get in my ass for a mistake or missing an assignment or something, we just got to be right. And so I just think, again, I'm not here to really go back and dig into what I was saying about Jack Del Rio and his views, what drives his views, etc., etc., etc. I'm just saying that it's a good thing that in some of these situations, when we need to get through shit, when we need to talk through shit, when we need to sort shit out and figure shit out, it's good that certain that can happen in certain places. And I would salute everybody here involved that, according to this article that's on ESPN, they made it happen and they moved forward. I'm still waiting on Jack Del Rio to create or to orchestrate or coordinate this top 10 defensive unit with the pieces that he has. So away from his politics and whatever, I just want the man to be good at his job. Game 5. I didn't come on and do my prediction. I thought that I didn't think this was a you can't come after the fact and say, well, I thought this, I thought that, I wanted this, and blah blah. I saw this happening. But I think I didn't think it was a must-win game for Golden State. I just thought it was the last opportunity for them to really help themselves out and put some pressure on this younger group of players, and and really get them on their heels. Maybe have them playing a little tentatively, and to make them feel the pressure. And from the beginning, it seems like Golden State has been behind the 8 ball the entire series in that regard. So now here it is with 2 games left. They just have to win one of the 2 games, and then they have to win. Their last opportunity at doing that happens on their home court. But we know they lost a game 7. They're the only team to have lost a finals game 7 on their own court. So that is in the back of their mind still. So with that said, I did think it was doing themselves a great service to go ahead in this particular moment and put the pressure on the young team. I did also start to wonder the way that Steph is playing or had been playing, and what his track record is in big moments. Like, at some point, a off game or a down, a 20-point game or a 22-point game or something like that was gonna happen. And who would be the others amongst the others of the Golden State Warriors who would step up and help them out? And I think, he only had 16 points or something last night. The first game that it broke his streak of made 3-pointers and whatnot. But Draymond came out and got 8 points, I believe, all in the first half, or at least the first 3 quarters. He had some big plays. Wiggins had another excellent game. I think he had 26 points. And then out of nowhere, you get 15 points from GP2. He knocked down a 3 early. I think he went 6 of 8 from the field, so it was a very efficient night. He got his hands on some balls late. Pause. Got some turnovers, some steals and whatnot. They really needed somebody to come off the bench. They also got 14 points, I believe, from Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole hit the big 3-pointer at the half, I believe that was, from half court or just past half court. So, excellent team win. Clay came through and hit some shots, some threes late. Excellent team win, and they did what they needed to do to give themselves a great chance. I think the one thing, in looking at the other side of the other side with Boston, I think the one thing that stood out to me after the fact, they're doing so much for every point. And while attacking, him and Jaylen Brown, often great, smart, often also at point guard, but with them often attacking, that's good. But you got to exert a lot of energy to attack all the time. It's very little. They didn't have a lot of assists. They didn't have a lot of team assists. They aren't assisting one another on buckets, and it's a lot of one on one. Multiple dribbles to get into the lane and to get into shots. I just think that just takes a toll on you. You need to be able to run some plays, some backdoor cuts, some transition buckets. Uh, it just can't be this one on. That's what's failed James Harden in the postseason before. You can't come down and go one on one for 48 minutes. And I think right now, whether they're shooting 3-pointers or whether they are taking a couple of mid-range jumpers, or then if you are driving, everything is just one on one right now for most of their scorers. And I just think that's kind of mentally taxing when that's how you're scoring buckets. So I think that's something maybe in the game 6 back in Boston. Maybe the ball can be moved around a little bit better. Maybe they can set each other up, focus on some playmaking a little bit more, so than just shot taking and shot creating, at least from an individual standpoint. Um, these guys definitely now, with it being 3-2, Boston is facing elimination. And the series, the loss of the series. So I think that does come into play. This is a group of younger guys who haven't been here. I think they were the better team and had a lot of advantages, but most of those have slipped away from them now, and they gotta be serious. They gotta execute. And I think it's going to be interesting to see whether or not these guys can hold up under that type of pressure. I don't know if the game is 2 days from now or whatever. I didn't look ahead, but the media and the sports talk is going to ratchet up significantly before leading up to that game. We hadn't been looking at they hadn't been facing this type of scrutiny. The narrative was a lot different previously, but now, as all of the talking heads, the pundits, the analysts, now as all of these guys start getting on radio and TV over the next 24, 48 hours, the criticism is going to be there. The challenges are going to be there. Pointing the finger, assigning blame. All of that stuff is going to start switching over to them. And I say this and I get on off here. This is kind of the problem when you have a very well-balanced team. The Pistons were there before and did okay with it. But when everybody on the team scores like 18 to 26, 28 points, and there isn't that person that goes and gets 45 or 50. We saw Giannis last year get 50, I think, or 53. When the team is super balanced, that is a good thing. But like we saw Steph in game 4 with the 43 points, sometimes you just need that dude who just delivers all night long, and the other players only got to chip in spots. It just simplifies things. Right now, when everybody is trying to cook and everybody is cooking at about the same output, I don't know. It's like it's just too many moving pieces. It's too many moving parts. And that's kind of, I don't know. That's kind of where I think a very well-balanced team without the right individuals, the right level of experience, how to go about guaranteeing that win, making that win happen. Because that's what they say. That's what it comes down to, is when you are the face of a team, as they've tried to put that responsibility on to Jason Tatum. All of these guys who have rings and finals MVPs, that's their whole statement, is you got to go to the coach and you got to go to the other players and tell them, get me the ball and get out the way. That's what it comes down to. And I just think now, like I said, with everybody kind of grouped together, although Tatum might have had 8 or 10 points more than the next guy, but it's just 28, it's just 27 points or whatever. He may need to go and get 38. He may need to go and get 45. Didn't he get 47 or something earlier in an earlier round? It might call for that type of night just to keep the crowd into it, just to make the moment that more magical, and to deliver this victory. It may take that type of performance. We'll see. Personally, I think with Steph having the off game, and I think the way that he handled it, like he didn't really try to force extending his streak of 3-pointers. When it was like he looked at the way some of the shots were falling and they really were badly off. It was almost like Steph just accepted it, like, hey. And that's what's brilliant about Steph. It's like, hey, it's not happening tonight. I got a lot of help out here. Other guys are, Wiggs is going off. GP2 has done some good things. Poole did some good things here and there. Clay is coming through. Just gonna sit on the bench and ride this victory out. And so I think the way that he handled his off night, even though Wiggins has been pretty consistent and he had this great game, there's no pressure on them in game 6 that Curry has to go for 38 or 40 to get MVP. If they win the game and win the ring, he will get the MVP. And so I just think they're in a good space going back to Boston. They've weathered the storm. They didn't do anything truly erratic. I know they sat Draymond down for 4 minutes or something in that third period of game 4, I believe. But they really haven't done anything uncharacteristic. So I think they just go back to Boston. The talk is already of game 6 Clay. You kind of got to do that multiple times for it to be a thing. But and that's something else that's shifting pressure, and expectations away from Steph Curry's. But I think, man, if they can go in there and get off to a good start and put some pressure on the youngsters early, maybe create a little confusion, create a little adversity, get these guys pointing at one another, blaming one another, fighting and whatnot. You can sit here and sneak one in on the road and get this, get this championship and complete the job. So I don't know. Let me look at when the game 6 is, and I know more about where I am with it. But anyway, like I said, man, I thought it was a pretty good game. Boston fought back and took the lead, in the third quarter, maybe in parts of the fourth quarter. They were within 1 and 2 points and everything. And then, the home team just ended up pulling away. So anyway, pay me no mind, sports and entertainment. My name is Wood. You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. Peace.